But they got to understand, a lot of folks don't know, Guerrilla Mainframe started way before the Huey P. Newton Gun Club in 2008. And it started with us doing the same type of work that we're doing in the past, the same type of work we're doing now. And the basis of it was essentially patrolling the community in Pleasant Grove. That's the basis of it. That was the most important part of it. That was the meat and potatoes of it. And it was a location called the Dream Center. And in the Dream Center, that's where we did the food. Now, folks laugh at me now. They say, you a vegetarian, right? Or you don't eat no meat. I'm a pretty fat vegetarian, as y'all can see. But I want to tell you that we started this whole vegetarianism at that particular time. Number one, Saida, who she not here, but Saida got her food stamps together, and she went to the store and she bought some items, some food that we could actually serve the community with. We didn't take food stamps and give it amongst ourselves. We got to say, you know what, we want to figure out if we can get this and can we serve the community with it. And being honest with you, I hope I'm not incriminating myself when I say that we use those particular items to serve the community. That's how we got started. Because we were concerned at the time. Somebody say, when those guys come through Timber Park and Spring Hollow off of Buckner in Pleasant Grove, somebody say, we're going to kill them niggas. That's what they said. What was that dope? Scuttle. Yeah. I mentioned Scuttle. Mm-hmm. Scuttle was a cool ass dope boy. If you ever met a cool dope boy, it was Scuttle. Scuttle was real cool. I talk about Scuttle a little bit. I remember one time we was walking into the office, and Scuttle, he had a shag. He was tall, light skinned, 6'4". You know how we dressed in 07, 08. Mm-hmm. He was real cool, but he was a little bit old. He probably 28 at the time, and he real smooth would say, he said, I ain't really got no problem with them. He was talking about us, but I can't really control what everybody else doing. But in reality, Scuttle was really over that whole neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Scuttle had spots in the apartments. Scuttle had spots across the street. You know what I'm saying? Scuttle had workers. You know what I'm saying? Scuttle had folks working in the front. Scuttle had folks working in the back. Scuttle had folks working in the apartment. And he had a cousin too. Now his cousin was a little different. I can't never remember his cousin's name. But I want to tell you that his cousin was real aggressive. He was a big guy. He was real aggressive. And he said, real loud, he said, y'all ain't finna be coming through real like that. And while I'm real, that sort of thing. So, we could have took that one or two ways. We could have aggressively been at him, and we could have had an issue with him. Or we could patrol the community, which we did. Again, this is Pleasant Grove. But what we did at the time, unbeknownst to us, or what we didn't realize until a little bit later, is because our presence really kind of scared off a lot of their traffic. So that's really what happened. Now, keep in mind, we wasn't working with no police. We didn't call no police or anything like that or nothing like that. That was the initial interaction that we had with them. After a while, they would come to understand what we was really about, just like over here in the Greens. It was the same relationship we had in the Greens. Those of us in the Greens, they know that folks was confused about us for a second. They didn't know what it was, like we was some extension of the police or whatever. And so what really changed that is this. I want to tell this. There was a particular time, there was a neighborhood police officer, they call them NPOs, that was real aggressive about what he was trying to do. And he didn't like us. And the Dallas Police Department in general didn't like us. They didn't like us because we was taking some of their properties. So y'all know how we was over in the Greens and how we here? Well, imagine if we was doing that like in 5 properties. Imagine that. So this neighborhood police officer, he went inside there and he was complaining or whatnot. And this is what he did. He said, I want everybody's information that's in this neighborhood. I want everybody's information. I want their name, what apartment they in, and their socials and whatnot. When I got wind of that, I got so upset. Eric can tell you. I don't know if he was there or not, but he probably was. I went immediately down to the Dallas City Council meeting, and I spoke. And y'all know, if y'all been to the City Council meeting recently, y'all know how you can't hardly get in now. You know, they check you real thorough. Back then, you can go through.
No, yeah.
Back then, there wasn't no metal detectors to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then you can go through. That's how long we, you know. So I had 7.62 times 39 shells in my hat.
Like that.
Yeah, I had a hat. You know, it was put. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I had them all around my hat, and they let me in with them. And you know, I was talking about how the fact that the police was trying to get our information, and I felt like that was an intrusion and all that sort of kind of stuff. And I was talking loud, and I was cussing like I was cussing. And I don't know where she came from. They brought Diane Ragsdale from somewhere from heaven.
Oh, man.
They brought Diane Ragsdale from heaven. And she came and while I was talking, stood behind me and grabbed me on my shoulder and all that kind of stuff. And I always remember this because I got this from Che Guevara. I stole it from Che Guevara. I said, I got to end in a cool way. I got to end this in a cool way. And I said, there's only two ways to leave the battlefield. It's either victorious or dead. I let y'all decide. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so they went and they was trying to meet with the owner and at the time it was the police chief, Jan Easterling. She was an associate police chief out of the East Subdivision. They was trying to meet and trying to figure out, you know, how to resolve, because they wanted to figure out who we was, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. And so essentially what ended up happening was I had a warrant out for my arrest. I had a traffic warrant out for my arrest. And I had the chief himself was named Randy Hampton. This was the actual chief. He was an interim police chief.
My mama used to date him.
Yeah, his mother used to date him. Yeah. Randy Hampton. He had took over. And the funny thing, and I kid you not, that neighborhood police officer said, we're going to arrest you. We're going to make sure we arrest you and embarrass you. Because the folks, the people that was kind of over us letting us patrol there was saying, I don't care what going on, just don't let them embarrass you. But the police said, the neighborhood police officer said, we're going to arrest you. And I kid you not, the police chief of the city of Dallas called me and said that they was going to arrest me as well. And that same weekend, there's some guys we was rolling with. We had just went and protested a 12-year-old girl that was stripping at the strip club. This is the same day. Wow. It was a 12-year-old girl that was stripping at the strip club, and we went and protested that situation. It was in North Dallas. Diane Ragsdale came to that protest. Thomas Muhammad came to that protest. Other individuals. It was organized by Chris Keefe. Chris Keefe organized that protest against a 12-year-old girl that was stripping at the time. So we went to that protest. When I got home, there was some guys we went. Just like we be in the neighborhood, how we kind of hanging out. There was some guys we was hanging with at the same time that was in the neighborhood too. And so the police pulled up. And all of us was kind of chilling, standing. You know, we had our whatever, and so they went trying to detain, trying to search folks, right? And so Buddy had a weapon he shouldn't have had at the particular time. He had a weapon he shouldn't have had. So I ran upstairs, came downstairs, and then when I came downstairs, I started interacting with the police. I started talking to him and going back and forth. And through that conversation, he found that, of course, I had a warrant out for that arrest. I said it all to say that when I did that, guess what Buddy did? He was able to, you know what I'm saying? He got out the way with that gun, that weapon. And he went upstairs to where I was at. And so, yeah, I took that arrest, you know, and it was cool. I spent about 12 hours in jail, my first time in jail in Mesquite. You know, I never forget that because it was funny how Sage and them came and got me that day. But I say that night, but I say that all to say is that everybody has participated in this. So when I say we are Balogun, I'm not necessarily speaking in terms of myself or the next person as an individual. What I am speaking in regards to is the way that we have done things. Because the way we have done in these particular communities, it's not a lot of folks that can say that historically. I'm saying dedicated. Now there's a lot of folks that do stuff in the community. And obviously they get their acknowledgement. But nobody has got it out of the mud like CIVN. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's got it out the mud like TPS. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's got it out the mud like CMB. You know what I'm saying? Or Diaspora United. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's got it out the mud like that. Because we have been very dedicated to this particular community. So much so, I don't know nobody in this whole country that could name a park out there bank robber. I don't know a convicted bank robber. I don't know nobody that could say they've done that. Now, obviously, it's symbolic in the way that obviously folks in the community got other priorities in terms of things that they're dealing with. But when you just really look at it, you named the park out the man that was convicted of a bank robbery, but the grand work that he did in the community was so great. I don't know nobody that's renamed a street where the police headquarters is located after a victim of police brutality.
Yeah.
I don't know nowhere other than City Dallas. You guys put Boston John on the map. So much so, just recently, I don't know if y'all noticed, y'all been riding on 45 north and south, y'all been seeing that Lamar sign that says it, but the reality is to say Boston Jean. So the City of Dallas on March 13th, May 13th, is going to be voting because you guys putting that pressure on them. They're going to make them spend $300,000 to update all those signs. Again, it's symbolic. But what we call it, one guy called it landscape reparations. You know what I mean? If we're gonna be members of the community, these particular communities gotta reflect the names that we represent.
Exactly.
If these white folks gonna be so bold enough to rename something after Charlie Kirk, for surely they could change all the signs they supposed to Boston Jean. And not only that, but we're gonna pressure them to go north. They renamed South Lamar Boston Jean, but we're gonna push them to rename North Lamar. That's what's coming. And one more thing I'm gonna mention before we let Chairman Eric speak is this. We are about to go into a big fight with the city in regards to Sand Branch. Now I know a lot of folks have done great work bringing water and whatnot